All right. Cleaning Nation accelerators. Every passersby that just wandered in wanting to know for some reason how to run a cleaning company. Welcome to today. I am talking with Dave Foellinger. He is a big badass in charge of the Jack. Well, yeah, I'll let him talk about it, but he works with the Jack Lloyd Group. He's one of the owners, not to mention fantastic fellow. He says he's a good guitarist/drummer, but we don't have any intro tape, so I don't know if that's the case. He is one of my one-on-one clients. I am really honored to be able to hang out with him, and I just wanted to share his story with the known universe, i.e. the 12 people that will watch this video. So that's what I got, Dave. Tell the world a little bit about who you are, why you're here, and what the heck is going on in your world.
Yeah, thanks for the intro. I am a brilliant guitar player in my mind. And,
hey, me too.
Yeah. And I still have great hair in my mind. So no, because I don't have talent, I actually had to get a job out of college. And,
I thought you were going to say because I don't have talent, I had to pick up drumming. Good. But
yeah.
Continue. Sorry, bad joke.
No. I've been with the Jack Lloyd Group for almost 20 years now. I got my start in business in manufacturing management. While I was working on my master's degree, I worked for a small consulting firm. And, as a small firm, we were responsible. We had to not only service our clients, we had to find our clients. And at the time, this firm did not service any type of contractors. And a big guy walks in, and since I was one of the young newbies, my cube was placed like right up by the lobby, not a lot of privacy. And I hear this guy say, "So who works with contractors?" And before the receptionist could say, well, we don't do that, I jumped up and said, well, I run the contracting division because I need a client. And that guy was John Laurie, is son of the founder of the Jack Lloyd Group. And at the time, we were a commercial flooring contractor solely. So we would sell and install.
We being the Jack Lloyd Group, not the consulting group that you work for.
Sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Cool, got it.
Yeah, so the Jack Lloyd Group was really just Jack Lloyd Commercial Floors at that time. We sold and installed all sorts of commercial flooring in office buildings, schools, hospitals. And John was working from moving out of the one city where we were founded in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and wanted to expand into Indianapolis and beyond. I was in Indianapolis at the time. And so that's how we got engaged to really launch the Indianapolis operation.
What I hear is I'm kind of being your consultant. So 20 years from now, I will be an owner of the Jack Lloyd Group because that's about how you guys do things, right?
Boy, if someone will help me get chips off the table, yes, you could be an owner
for the low price of tons of money. I could get in, and Dave would be on his boat. All right, sorry.
Exactly. Now, we at the time in the industry was sort of there was a big roll up going on, and three major players, two big carpet manufacturers, and then DuPont Corporation, who was a nylon manufacturer, were trying to roll up the industry and consolidate. So they were gobbling up these contractors, and we were approached by all three. Had no interest in selling.
Did you say this was in the 90s or the 2000s?
This was late 90s. Late 90s. So 98. And we had no interest in selling. And so we became the first franchise operation of what was known as DuPont Flooring Systems. And so now we had a big brother that helped us with capital. They subordinated their debt, and we were allowed to go into other markets. And so that seemed really cool. I'm still in my 20s, and we're going to roll up this industry. And so we went on like a 3-year run of growing from the one operation in Fort Wayne to 9 operations in 5 states, and wrote the book on how to destroy a company, how to outpace.
I'm still waiting on my copy for that. I still haven't got my complimentary copy. I'm waiting.
Yeah, but then in 2001, we had the dot-com blip, and a lot of people, including our main banker and DuPont, said, yeah, let's get out of this contracting gig. And so there we were with a ton of debt and not a lot of income. And so we had to scale down, and we scaled down back to Fort Wayne, Minneapolis, John really took control of Fort Wayne. I took control of Indianapolis, and we focused on just being the best in the state of Indiana. And so we accomplished that. And then through the years, we've added on several other services. So we have a interiors division that does framing, drywall, painting, acoustical ceilings, everything else but the floors on the interiors. We have a resinous flooring and sports flooring division that'll do performance sports courts, epoxy floors, industrial performance floors. We have a residential division called Home Floor Design. So we have residential showrooms now, primarily.
That's a flooring installation, right?
Yeah,
Like wood and,
flooring. And then we also have cleaning. And so how in the world did we get into being a cleaning company? Well, the
listeners just woke up like, hey, 6 minutes in, I heard something.
Yeah, exactly. I get it. But the way we got into cleaning was back with DuPont. So DuPont, was a chemical company. And since they were this huge producer of commercial nylon, they also were the developer of the original encapsulation chemistry. And so they said, hey, we're producing all this high-grade nylon that goes into high-grade commercial carpet, and we have the technology to clean it and help keep it clean. And so that was sort of part of our package. And we really focused on carpet care. That expanded to VCT care. But now, in the last 3 years, we've really gone from being a floor care specialist to a full-blown janitorial services plus floor care. We also do construction final cleans. We resurface basketball courts. A lot of things tie into other parts of our business.
So I would love if you're willing to share kind of because there's been a little metamorphosis that I'm aware of in terms of how you started with the contracting. You shared with me in a call, and this is private. Tell me I edited it out. That you guys, particularly you, and I think some of the other ownership group, was seeing some of the shortcomings in terms of going out and killing it, getting a good job, and then great, we made money this month, and then next month all that overhead shows up again, and we're like, well, I hope we can get another job. And the appeal of commercial cleaning in terms of we've got that, once I sell a $5,000-$10,000 a month job, that's coming every month until something goes awry.
Yeah, so we've become a contractor we've gone from being a contractor since 1950, well established in the contracting world in our markets we compete, to all of a sudden realizing that the cleaning services is the tip of our spear and driving our strategic direction for as far as we can see. And exactly for the reasons that you said, the construction side is so transactional. And so we can go out, we can win a job. We can even, build relationships. So we're not having to compete as much on price, but price is still, dominates the bid world in contracting. But the thing that we can't do anything about is that every job is a transaction. And when it's done, it's done. And you have to hope you find another one.
We haven't even talked about what if that's this job, that job. What if the construction market as a whole takes a beat, right? And now all of a sudden,
yeah. I mean,
sorry, I just ruined Dave's entire morning. Oh, don't tell me that, Mike.
No, believe me, this is our last year's strategic planning retreat. We were going through this. It's like, what in the world have we been doing for so long? Because we start to model out this recurring revenue model of having janitorial contracts or extended floor care contracts that auto-renew, that we can actually build wealth on instead of just profit. So if I start the year with X million dollars in contracts, under contract, that's going to happen this year. In the construction world, I start the year basically at zero. Yeah, I got a couple jobs in the backlog, but basically at zero. And it's very tied to the economy. But in cleaning services, I can have this foundation. And if we can provide a world-class service, make customers happy, then the chances of losing are very slim. Sure, things can happen. Our customer can have financial hardships and they have to get rid of a contract. But our destiny is mostly in our hands with that. And so if I start one year at X million in contracts, I can start the next year at even higher than that. And all I have to do is not sell if I'm going from 2 million to 4 million, I don't have to sell 4 million. I only have to sell another 2 million.
Yeah.
And so, it just builds on itself. And so the wealth building mechanism and the connection with the customer, more touches more often. It really finally became obvious to us as a exec team that, wow, this is what we should lead with. And so it's really changed the entire direction of our company in the way we look at ourselves and how we approach the market.
So Dave gave you the story of how to look at your company strategically well and kind of go, I don't want to say where the money is, but go where the opportunity is. Certainly. I did the opposite. I went for the commercial cleaning business to construction. In retrospect, went, well, that was ridiculous. What was I thinking? Like, I have to go kill it every single month to find. And just like you said, you got jobs in progress, but those dry up and you've got this whole pipeline and it's just a mess. And cleaning is so much better in that you sell a job, you do a good job, and those guys can stay for, 10, 20 years at times. Not that that's
Exactly.
typical, but it's certainly not insane. All right, cool. So we kind of got to where you started, how you got here. Gosh, we are glitchy, but that's all right. We'll edit it all out, hopefully. Tell me how, and again, I wish I could say like, oh, we know this and let's just share it with the audience. I have totally forgotten. How did we meet and how did our little universes intersect?
Yeah, I believe that, good grief, I should know this, right?
I should know. I'm the jerk taking the money. You don't need to know.
I want to say that it was through some sort of email campaign. Do you have a regular email campaign where? No, I figured it out. You or Natalie researched, and I was on one of the podcasts.
Oh, nice.
This spring, and so I just got a call out of the blue. Where you must have seen on our website, hey, we do this. This is who I am, and would you be interested in talking? And that led me to not only do that podcast with you, but then look into your entire web presence and everything that you've got going on. Learn more about your background. We hit it off on the podcast. I think you followed up and said, hey, how about a chat? And we talked for maybe an hour and a half, and believe it or not, you were brilliant. And so we engaged.
I believe it. My wife won't, but I do.
Yeah. No, it was a great meeting of the month. And I think the reason that we got to where we are today is, I've got 20 years of experience being a contractor, and I've built a company and an executive team around that. And while we can see on paper, this is the direction we need to go, I need a lot of outside help to guide us and to help with ideas, everything from the way we market to the way we approach customers and service customers. And so when we had this, meeting of the minds, I was very interested in engaging one-on-one.
I got to jump in and mention something I don't want Cleaning Nation to miss that I see all the time, and Dave's a perfect representative. Just doing what I do with the podcast and the community. It's just literally, I talk to dozens of cleaners a month and probably hundreds a year, owners. And it's so funny, the people that are struggling the most, trying to make something happen and been doing it 20 years and have 4 employees or whatever their case may be, just can't move it along, are the ones that are the most proud and quote unquote, huge sarcasm here, need the least help. They're not interested. They're good. They got it. Everything's fine. The folks, and I give, just to give them the listeners an idea, how many employees does I don't know if you want to share Jack Laurie Group or just at least the janitorial part, so people get an idea of where you're at in your journey.
Yeah. So the entire Jack Laurie Group is 300 plus today. Okay.
And then how many in the janitorial piece?
Cleaning services side is probably right around 60.
Okay.
Of that, 6 are staff or sales or management. The rest are really all janitorial technicians, lead technicians, and floor care techs.
So the flip side of the guy that's struggling, who quote unquote has it all. And again, Dave's not a unicorn. This is so typical. The guys that are killing it and crushing it and have forgotten more about janitorial running business than most guys know, they're the ones constantly reading, looking for that new, how constantly growing. And it's so funny. It's so frustrating talking to the first category of people because I can't help them for free, for money, for anything. They're just, their glass is full, their mind is full. There's nothing that's going to go in. And they're the guys that need to listen the most. The guys and gals that are just crushing it, that you think they don't need help. They're constantly trying to sharpen their saw and get better and better and better. And I want to point that out. So if you're in that first group, maybe consider who's actually having success. And if you're in that second group, God bless you, keep going in terms of books or blogs or reading or coaching or whatever the case may be, the podcast, constantly looking to learn. And I didn't want you to grow over that, because for Dave, it's natural. He's like, well, of course, why would I not be learning? So many people just take it for granted. I want to take a pause and let Cleaning Nation out there kind of go. Yeah, that is true. The guys and gals, and this is in the cleaning business, outside the cleaning business. Dave and I are both EO or YEO or YPO, I'm guessing at your point, members. And those guys, the biggest thing that set them apart, aside from probably ego, was desire to learn constantly. Yeah, I'm glad Dave got that. Oh yeah, he's an EO guy. Was constant desire to learn. Any thoughts on that before we move on, Dave?
Yeah, I would love to say the same thing again. And even if you're not trying to be a cleaning company, whether it's business, whether it's personal, whether it's trying to get from one point to another, or you've got a longer vision in mind, unless you're investing in yourself constantly and just being a complete sponge. And I don't know if getting closer to 50 helps, where you start to realize, okay, I'm not as bright as I used to think I was. Here's the amazing thing. When you're open to looking for this information, you find people that want to actually help you.
Yes.
And so it's not something where you're going to embark on this journey where you've got to read every book and figure it out yourself and put all of these pieces together. When you go on this path, it's amazing. Whether something like our relationship or through YPO or anything like that, you start to bump into people who share the same value. So the people that want the information are the same people so align yourself with people like that, because it is amazing how much people will just give, just by asking.
So true. And it's funny because I've experienced that from the business owner side for the last 20 years. And then having moved to kind of coaching or helping other business owners for the last 3 years, it is so true. For free, for money, it doesn't matter. The people that are coachable and have some sort of feeling that they're going to implement the stuff, I'll bend over backwards to do. But I've got close friends that are like, hey, let me take you out to lunch and blah, 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 help me out. Zero interest. Because I don't know about you, Dave, but I've done enough of those lunches, and then 3 months later, a month later, 6 months later, hey, how's all that stuff we talked? Oh yeah, that was nothing happens. You get sick of just banging your head against that wall with people that aren't interested. And again, for money, for a ton of money, for no money, it doesn't matter. I'm just, if someone's willing to learn, and they're actually going to do something, they're passionate. You're right. People are willing to pour into you. But if you're that guy or gal that knows everything, is like, yeah, I'll think about it. I'm not action oriented. We'll see. And nothing ever happens. All of a sudden, coaches stop showing up.
Exactly right.
All right, cool. So what else should we talk about? So we talked about, that's a cool way you found me. Most people are like, oh, I listened to the podcast and I got to be addicted, blah, blah, and then that's how it goes. So I assume that was your story's gonna be a version of that, but you're the opposite. You're like, no, I was on the podcast and then went, hey, that ain't bad. Maybe I'll listen to some of the other ones. And then now you're one of my one-on-one favorite people. So yeah, tell me a little bit about, this is a lot of fun because there's kind of two categories. It's very rarely do I have someone in the middle. It's like, yeah, we've been growing at 6% a year and we'd like to grow 7% next year. And there's just, okay, God bless you, go get them. There's the folks that are dying, right? I can't afford payroll, help. Right. And those are so stressful, but fun in a way, because there's, massive, it's really helpful. Be like, we changed this whole, all these people are gonna have jobs, everything's great. And there's other folks that are Dave. It's like, hey, we're doing great, right? Dave wasn't calling me trying to make payroll. He just said, hell, I want to go farther, faster. So tell me about that from your perspective. What's life, and again, I don't know the answer to this, so it's kind of a scary question to ask. We've only been working together 2 months. Is that fair?
Yeah, a couple months.
Yeah, give or take. And again, please be honest. This isn't a commercial. How is your life different, if at all, today than it was 60 days ago?
Yeah, well, I can tell you that.
Keep in mind, I edit everything. So if you're like, nothing, you suck. That question's gone. It never happened. So you get to say what you want. I get to edit what you say. I don't know who's got more power, but go ahead.
No, well, I can tell you that I've spent more time in the last 60 days working on the the future and really feeling, I'm feeling two things. Number one, I was talking to one of the guys on the team, and I said, over the course of the last really 6 months, I've felt so dumb, because I'll talk to guys like you, I'll talk to other people that are experts in digital marketing and all this kind of stuff, and we're an old school contractor, by heart, and wow. It's been a very humbling process. But specifically working with you, you're great at holding both of us accountable to a list, and so I get assignments and homework, and I know I've got to work on that. And it's not just running through tasks. We've worked through why this is important, and so I'm doing things that I never would have dreamed of doing, and you know. I've just begun to start to see, like I said, we shot that first customer testimonial video. Had never done that. I call customers, I talk to them, they like us. But the idea of documenting it and then just how cool that could be and what a customer will actually say for you, without even begging them or leading them, just letting them talk. I was blown away. And so, now I'm getting bit by the bug, and, really our company as a whole, I'm sort of an example of what we are. Intellectually, we realize that we can no longer be who we are. We get it. If we do that, we'll work very hard, we'll make a decent living and have nothing at the end and be very tired. But so we've made this intellectual decision, and I think with me and a couple other guys, it's become intuitive, and at least the decision, okay, now we're really feeling it. Some guys are still, I see it on paper, but I don't get it. Yeah. But 100% of us don't have the roadmap. And, that's where I think my life has changed the most is suddenly I've got a roadmap. So we can have these talks and we can get these assignments, and I'm just running down the road that you're opening up, and I'm seeing, this value each time I do something. I'm like, that's cool. I mean, I just today I ordered my first Fiverr introductory logo thing, where they're going to make it, fancy and spin around or glow or something. But I just set that up today. Never would have done that. I'm an operator. I think of driving efficiency and driving systems and processes. But in today's world, the way people are buying and take it from buying, but also the way people are looking for employers. So, we could get on a whole talk in cleaning. The entire value is in your ability to service the customers. And the only way you service the customers is by growing a skilled labor force. And you have to find that labor force. And these are not, upper tiered, advanced degree positions. No. Where opportunity, I'll stay for 10 years. We're looking for 10 weeks. Right. In the industry as a whole. So how do we create something that becomes a better funnel for the right type of people? And then when we select the right type of people, have better systems for them. So instead of having the industry average, I don't know how many hundreds of times of turnover, what if we cut that in half? Yeah. And then what if we cut it in half again? And now you're changing the game. And so, these are the things, the little tidbits that start popping in my head just from us working. And we haven't worked on specifically reducing turnover, but because of some of the things that we're working on, I'm thinking, oh, wow, we could leverage this into, a recruiting mechanism, a training mechanism, and also the culture, the culture you're building so that the people stay. Boy, I could take this a lot of different directions. So it's, even though our focus has, my weakness is more in the marketing and the reaching the customers and engaging with the customers. That's really our day-to-day talks, but it's touching, virtually every part of the business right now.
God, yeah, you said so much. I don't want to. I want to make sure we unpack it all for everybody. We go so fast that I think we get it, but a lot of people are like, hold on, there's some gems that they may have missed. So first of all, I love that you get the culture piece and how that permeates, right? And that works not just for employees, but for customers. Like I always use Apple because people are familiar with it and they're so culture driven, right? It's not. That was a world that, just 10 years ago before they started opening the retail stores, you bought the cheap, how many, what's the processor? Is this a 486 or 586 or 1.3 or whatever? And how much memory? And now with Apple, you just buy the big pretty thing because you want to be a part of that culture. So I love that you get the culture works certainly with client or employee attraction because people, they can get a crappy $10 an hour job with you. They can go wait in line with the government. There's 1,000 places they can get their terrible wage, probably
Absolutely.
for a terrible job, but they can always get that community, that culture, that connection, that special thing from you guys or from us. And the cool thing is it's so much easier, right? At the $150,000 a year jobs, everybody kisses their butt. Everybody has a great culture. Everybody's trying to make them feel good about themselves and woo them away. With the $10 an hour people, it's like, sit down, shut up, and get to work. So it's really easy for us to just not be awful. And they go, this is it. I never want to leave. So I love that you get that. I love the stuff that we're doing. And if you're willing, I will put up on the page. I'll certainly link to Fiverr, and that's so cool that Dave. It's just I don't want to say dumb tool, but for those of you that aren't familiar, Fiverr, and I think I also give you Upwork, and we'll link to those in the notes so you guys can get them. Just great opportunities if you don't want to hire someone, but you need graphic design or some sort of technical piece done for this just little project, as opposed to hiring somebody. They're great places to get them. But that you shot the video, and if you were willing to share that video that you shot, I am whatever version or draft you have, I'm happy to put it on there and people can see what we're talking about with Dave making customer testimonials. So yeah, I think since we've talked, you started doing the customer testimonials, and that's why I invited Dave. I was telling him this process, and I'm like, well, damn it, I do one of these every month. Why don't you come on and we'll do it so you can both give and receive. So that's part of the reason Dave got here, other than I wanted everyone to meet him because he's such a bright guy. And then the monthly or the weekly emails, if I remember right, because Dave just CC'd me on that he sends to all of his team. And again, I'd only gotten, I think I've gotten 4 because you didn't CC me right off the bat. But I remember the first one was hello, this is Dave. I'm your owner. Here's some good things that you should think about. God bless you. And then the last one, like, you just went insane. It's all sorts of fun. Actually, the last 2 have been really good. I'm emailing back, Dave, that's the Dave we know and love. So if you're willing to share, I know it's kind of silly, but I'm sure there's other guys or gals out there going, I want to send a weekly email. What could that look like? What would that be?
Yeah.
If you want to send me the first one you sent me, or an old Dave version, and one of the most recent one, I'd be happy to share that. Any thoughts and I'm actually curious because we haven't talked about it. Any feedback you've gotten from your team on who's this new guy writing emails? Because they're very different from the old ones.
It is interesting that, okay, so I send this Monday morning memo out every Monday morning. I've done it for 3.5, 4 years. So there's hundreds of them out there. And I don't always get feedback. It goes out to all the employees, and they get it in their email. And I'm sure some of the guys that have been with me for years, they just hit delete and
right. Oh no, they look around first, make sure no one's looking, then they secretly.
Yeah, but occasionally I would get some feedback, and kudos to you. Over the last couple of weeks, I've had more feedback. I think 2 weeks ago, I was pretty transparent. I sat down and I was sitting there looking at my computer.
It's my favorite one.
For like 30 minutes. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to write about. And usually over the weekend, I'll plan. Right. I'll just figure out what I'm going to do. So then I can come in and write it. I didn't do that, and I didn't have a plan. And so that week's memo was on not having a plan. And,
so good. If you could share that one, I would love to put it up because that was the one. I know it was good because I read it, and I'm not in Monday morning memo mode. I'm in, Dave's my client. So when you emailed me, I assumed it was just to me. And you wrote it in such a way that I think your team might have thought this. I mean, they know it's a Monday morning, but it was very personal, which is exactly the right way to do it. And just so you know, insider baseball guys, when Dave says, thanks to you, no, thanks to Dave, he basically came to me and said, hey, I'm a really funny, energetic, cool guy, but I send out these emails and I pretend like I'm a total boring nerd. And I just said, well, cut it out. And he said, can I do that? Can I just be me? I said, God bless you. Yes. And so there's nothing for me. It was all Dave. You always had it in you. You just kind of had that professional veneer. We gave you permission to go, just be Dave. But I got that email. I remember thinking, this is an odd email because usually the emails are, hey, here's where status reports or questions or I need help with this. This was, I'm sitting here on a Monday. I have no idea what to write. And I'm like, well, that's an odd thing to send a fellow. Well, how am I? And I realized what it was. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Dave, this is so good. So it was cool being able to experience that as a pseudo employee going, this is just Dave. This is another human that I know, like, and trust sharing a human experience with me. I was very connected with that email.
Yeah, thanks. I got to tell you, I've the Monday morning memo is something I've been proud of. When you have, as you grow your employee base and you start having going from, I remember almost 20 years ago, I could talk to every single person in the company every day.
Yeah.
And sometimes you long for that, but that doesn't get you to where you want to be. So now I've got hundreds of employees, some of which I don't even know.
Right.
In different cities, I don't get to see them, and so the way you connect with employees, you need. It's not just a memo. It's 100 things that you have to do. But yeah, so this Monday morning memo, I thought, what a great way I can every single week hit some part of our strategic plan, or understanding why we do what we do, and it's just this constant rain and a regular cadence of communication. But like you said, probably pretty boring and vanilla and textbookish, and not necessarily me, but professional. And one of the first things you and I did was you went onto our website and counted the I's and we's versus the U's, and I think there were, it was 0 about the customer and 100% about us.
Yeah.
And that little tidbit, this is where, okay, so we were talking about our website, and it starts to shape the way that I think of things. So now, just about everything that I put out there, I'm counting I's and me's and counting U's, and so you've sort of seen some of that evolution and transformation into the structure of the email. You made my life harder. It used to be easy to sit down and talk about me, and now I have to sit there and change that. But you start to build that muscle, and it becomes more and more natural, and the reaction of the people is that much greater. And it could be as simple as just starting with asking questions, about how they feel. Do you ever wake up and not have a plan for the day? Versus,
so much more appealing.
Yeah, versus, hey guys, I woke up without a plan today, so let me tell you about it. That email in particular, I got guys from all over the place, responding, saying, hey, thanks, this is what I needed today. I'm going to do a little 5-minute timeout and regroup. It's not even lunch yet. And so it was great feedback, and definitely a lot of the things that you and I have talked about over the last few weeks went into shaping that.
Yeah, I'm just like we talked about earlier, the guys that are coachable get good coaching. The guys that aren't, right? Because if I did my IU count rant and nothing changed, maybe I give Dave a second swing at it and go, Dave, this is really important, and then nothing changes. What do you want me to do? You're a grown man. I can't beat you into submission. But when we have a conversation about one thing, it was this little box about his website, and I think within 48 hours of our conversation, you'd sent me back the new copy, which was 1,000 times better, by the way. And then on top of that, I don't think we talked about it again. And now I start seeing an email. You start doing it. That gets me fired up. Like, all right, we're changing lives here. We're doing stuff, as opposed to I just talk, Dave ignores, he sends me money. That's our relationship. Okay, so what? Who cares? Whereas it's like, hey, this is changing. Not only is it changing Dave's lives, but he's got 300 employees. We're touching that. That gets me fired up. So Dave gets kind of the best of people he's working with. And for whatever it's worth, that works with family too, by the way. I don't know about my bride is much more interested in hearing about her than me. So that IU count works for any word that comes out of your mouth or you type on the computer. It's easier on the computer because you can go count it. After you talk, it's a little harder. But all right, cool. I feel like I've gotten everything I need, but I promise you there's listeners out here, because I get the feedback going, I want to hear about this, or how did Dave that, or whatever. So I'm going to give you the last however long you want to speak extemporaneously, which Dave hates, by the way. He's a big, like, when I told him, hey, just ask a bunch of questions to be interested. He's like, well, what questions should I, he's very like A, B, C, D. So he probably cheated and has this already ready, but I'm going to try and catch him unawares. Dave, the floor is yours. Anything that you think in your years and years of experience of growing cleaning companies and other companies that would bring value to Cleaning Nation, I will shut up. I'm going to take notes. The floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I carry with me every day is engage with the people. It doesn't matter if you have one employee or if you have 10 or 100 or 1,000 employees. You have to engage with your people. In the service industries, and specifically cleaning, we can't grow, we can't make customers happy, we can't get better without great people, unless you want to be a cleaning company of one where you're doing it yourself, and there's plenty of those out there. But if you're trying to actually grow a business in this industry, it is all going to come down to, are you able to find the people? And then are you able to retain and develop them? And so you've got to have this genuine interest in your employees. You've got to have a plan for them. Now, it doesn't mean that every single one of them, that you show them a roadmap on how to become president, okay? But you've got to have someone in the organization that knows them personally and engages with them on a regular basis and is helping them get better. And there's a lot of ways to do it. It can just be supervision. We also have a mentoring program in our organization where the most coachable, the folks that are raising their hand and saying, well, I'll take even more.
And just real quick, I've done that in my organization. I promise you, the wrong people are going, so do I get paid for that? Is there any extra whatever, right? And you're going, do you know what this guy's time is worth? And you're being that guy. And then the other end of the spectrum are going, oh my gosh, what would I have to pay? Or how can I make this guy want to pour into me? I'm so lucky. Just so fun. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Just such a key.
No.
Over and over, that theme shows up.
Yeah, and it's all about engaging with the people, and there is no silver bullet. So you've got to have a mentoring program. You've got to have the Monday morning memo. You've got to have personal and professional development for your folks. You've got to have fun things where your people can just engage and let their hair down. You've got to recognize them publicly and in private. So if you're big enough where you want to shut down for the afternoon and bring everyone together for a lunch.
Absolutely.
There's just, the minute you think you are doing everything you can, think of 10 more things, because you're not doing everything you can. And those companies that engage with their employees will be able to grow faster, definitely more profitably, and they'll be able to sustain those accounts. So if you have a bunch of disengaged employees, and the magic behind our business is locking in a renewable account, a renewable contract, and you on average lose those every 2 years, and your competition hangs on to them for 10, 15, 20 years, you'll be spinning your wheels forever. But if I don't know what the average in the industry is, but let's say it's 8 years. Well, if you can on average hold on to your contracts for 16 years, you've left your competition in the dust. And none of that happens without engaged employees, because when they're disengaged, they won't deliver quality cleaning. They won't deliver consistency. They won't communicate what you need to know, and they won't communicate properly with the customer, and you'll have that excessive turnover. So you'll always be starting from ground one. So I could talk for hours on employee engagement, and there are a million things you can do. It all starts with genuinely caring about your people, and if you can do that, then you can actually blow this thing up and employ as many people as you want to.
I couldn't agree more. It all comes back to culture, and yeah. And when I get asked to speak on this subject, I'll try and see if I can find the slides and I'll include them. But it's like, lack of engaged employees cost America $300 billion a year to companies. Stock prices of companies that have strong corporate culture versus that don't is over 700 times difference. So when you start getting to higher levels of business, cleaning or otherwise, culture, community, engagement with the employees is huge. And you kind of touched on it when you said, I remember when I could go see everybody every day. And now I can't. We're in different states. We're in different times. So creating systems, and just for those of you who missed it, Dave not saying, hey, I'm going to line out everything that we do. Dave just being a guy that's like, I desperately want to connect with these people and engage them. Email every Monday where he's talking about them now, talk about them, not him. God, I forgot the second thing, but the third thing was meetings where the mentorship program, which I think is phenomenal. And then the third thing, meetings where you close. And that's exactly what we did. Fridays around, I didn't have to tell everybody, around 3:30, work
Yep.
just stopped. They go get this isn't for everybody, but some of the guys would go get Coronas and limes and around, and then other guys would start grilling. Like, it was a well-oiled machine that I built there's zero systems around it. They just knew, like, every third Friday, these things guys would start pulling out guacamole that their wives had made earlier. And it was a party, and it happened. So, absolutely love it. Because I'm lazy and I don't want to do my job, Dave, I'm going to let you sign off. I'm going to shut up. You're going to say what you're going to say, and that is going to be the end. Go.
Wow. No pressure.
No pressure.
Now, just in closing to everyone out there in Cleaning Nation, if you are the type of person that is open to getting coached, this experience is a blast, and getting real tangible value out of working with Mike. And you can make fun of him. He will make fun of you. But no, I mean, it's a fun process, and I couldn't recommend it more. So I've been thrilled.